Everybody. Welcome to my Lunch and Learn. I'm here every week to help you explore topics about mindset, being at your best, and radically expanding your life and business. And today I am so excited to have a very special guest with me on this side. I think I pointed the right way on this, Kuntal. And our theme, what we're going to be talking about today, is becoming a manifestation queen and really how to know what you want and how to actually get it. So, if you're a professional woman and you know you're destined for more, and maybe you've been coasting for a while, you've been playing it safe, or you keep hearing friends and family and coworkers tell you how much potential you got and how you're amazing, but you don't really see what they're saying yet. Kuntal and we're going to have a beautiful conversation where you're going to learn some of her best tips and tricks to manifesting things that you only once dreamed of. And some of you know me, some of you don't. So I'm Larissa McCouch. I'm CEO of Abundance Academy and master result coach that helps professional women whose external results tell the world they're successful, but on the inside, they know they're destined for more. I help them fill their gaps and go after their dreams so they can love themselves, love their business, and love their life once again. And so just a little bit about Kuntal before we get started. Kuntal is the founder and chief curator at Inara Lifestyle Experiences. And Inara's mission is actually to create space for women to gather and seek reprieve from the heaviness of life and to recalibrate. So her company's goal is to inspire transformation from the mind, the body, and the soul through these curated premium wellness experiences. And she wants to help women become healthier and really do that in a holistic way together. So welcome, Kuntal. I am so looking forward to having you here. I've been looking forward to this since we decided to do this talk. So just before I ask you to tell people about yourself, when I first met Kuntal, we've known each other for a couple of years and just recently been reacquainted. And she was this beautiful woman who had a radiant smile, and I could see she had fire inside. Yet at first she was a little hesitant and apologetic and questioned her moves. But once she got going and she hooked in on this superpower of manifestation, she just totally unleashed it. She was confident and completely unstoppable. So I wanted to invite her here because I know she's got so much wisdom to share, and I wanted you to experience her. So, Kuntal, can you just tell viewers, you have blossomed so much, but can you tell viewers a little bit about your background and your business and why you got started?
Absolutely. But first, I have to start by saying thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It is a full circle moment as you were introducing my company and me. I was sitting back and it was surreal to be introduced in the way you did, right? My journey began just a little bit before I met you, and meeting you was part of my journey. And to now sit back almost exactly 3 years from that point, it is surreal to myself connect the dots backwards, right? So thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Where do I begin? Gosh, it was July 2019. How much time do we have? I'll speed it up. Anyway, it was July 2019. I found myself right before COVID, actually, a few months before COVID. I found myself in Costa Rica at a yoga retreat, and I was there to get some clarity. I was at crossroads in my life at the time, and I just needed to get away, just to think, to get clarity, to allow that space and time to come to a conclusion on this really important life decision I was battling at the time. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I came back from that retreat transformed, having gained clarity. And I immediately thought to myself, you know what? I would love to create what I just experienced on a smaller scale in Ontario, in and around Toronto, right? There are people out there who need this, but don't have the finances nor the time. or life situations to allow them to go away for a week at a retreat center in Costa Rica, in Bali. While those things are really nice and I enjoy them myself, I really wanted to create a space, a container. I wanted to be an example of the possibility that you can sometimes all you need is a weekend to get away. And if you can't get away, I wanted to create that same beautiful experience and the holistic experience, from the food to the actual itinerary to the beautiful ambiance, right? So while we don't have the ocean, I really think we live in a very beautiful province of Ontario.
Mhm.
I've been seeking out experiences for women in places where we can go for a weekend and recharge, right? So Inara is, as you mentioned, a lifestyle experiences company. I don't think of it as simply a yoga company. I think of it as a holistic well-being, right? From the community that we create for women to come and heal and gather and laugh and make memories together, to having something like a yoga class or a a vision boarding experience, right? So all the types of things that I would go to, and the tools and the experiences that I have sought out as part of my healing journey, I'm now creating it from a personal experience standpoint. So
Mhm.
that's in a nutshell. It's been, that's been the last 3 years. I feel like finally now, of course, we had a year and some in COVID too, in complete lockdown, but I'm finally able to put to practice all the things that I had been talking about during our TIR, right? Masterminds that we used to have in the evening calls you used to have. I remember I used to show up to those calls and I had nothing to offer at the time because I hadn't started yet. I had been planning, strategizing, but I hadn't put things out there yet.
Mhm.
So now I can look back and I can still remember the things we used to talk about in TIR, right? One of the things you used to say is, instead of saying, I don't know how, reframe that question. And now I ask, how can I? And list out 10 ways I can, right? So I completely went on a fun tangent, but I hope that gives you a little glimpse into Inara. And Inara actually is an Arabic word which means to shine bright. So I
Mhm.
want to teach women to shine bright, to step into their power, show up unapologetically as themselves. And you give me a weekend of your life, and I will give you a better version of you.
I
Right. So that's
love
my
that.
motto. That's my motto. I want strangers to meet and leave as friends. Right. So that's how it all began, and that's where I am today.
I love it. And I've definitely experienced some of your events. And I have more questions about that a little bit later. But what I wanted to really talk about, and I want to dive into this idea of manifestation, right? For
Mm-hmm.
when we first started, you were just hoping to have a dream, right? You're
Yes.
like, I want to have a dream, but I don't even know what I want. And you didn't have that direction.
Yes.
However, as soon as you started really hooking into that, really tuning into what you truly wanted, not just in your head, but in your heart, um,
Yes.
you unleashed this ability to manifest. And
Mm-hmm.
now all you do is manifest. I get these messages from you. I manifested this. Check out my latest. Like you just like it's like ding, ding, ding,
Yeah.
and you just never know when you'll open your WhatsApp and get a message from Kuntal like, oh, this is the next thing. So tell us how this process of manifestation, because it's not just some arbitrary thing. It's not a woo woo
No.
thing. This is
It,
very intentional. How did it become intentional for you and for your business? Because you've manifested some really cool things, but how did you get to the point of being intentional with it?
there's a card that you had sent Larissa, and I think I mentioned it to you. It's one of those, it's a card like this. Yeah, I have your card right here. It's not this one. The other one is actually taped right in a place where I can see it all the time. And it says, I ask, I believe, I receive. Those, and then I added another one, which is to give thanks, right? So those four things, I think, is the crux of manifesting. You have to ask, right? Ask and be as specific and as clear. don't be shy about asking. I used to be really shy about asking because the brain would just say, oh, as if that's even possible, right? Who cares? Dreaming doesn't cost anything, right? I
Yeah.
think I used to be too pragmatic to dream. That's what it was. I'm an accountant. I'm in the corporate world all the time. And so I think at heart, I'm very logical. So the brain was always not even allowing me to dream. But you taught me how to dream big. In fact, one of the things I had put on my vision board was to dream big dreams because I was just too practical, you know? So first is to ask, and that is through dreaming, and dream and write it down, create a vision board. So, and then ask and then believe. The believe part is where you have to imagine that it's already done. Like it is happening. You know, it's like you called the pizza store and you put in the request for a pizza with all the toppings you wanted. Be very specific. What's the crust? What's the toppings? Is it thin? Is it gluten free? And as specific as you are, you're putting in that order into the universe and then believe it's coming. You don't call the pizza store every 10 minutes and say, is the pizza on its way? I wasn't sure. I know I placed the order. Just want to make sure you got the order. Okay, okay, cool. Okay. Still not here, right? Believe it's coming. Start setting the table. Like that pizza's coming. What are you going to drink with it, right? What kind of music are you going to have? Are you going to have candles? So start feeling into that reality. That feeling part is really important. So when I would set out or I would put things on my vision board, I would start living into that reality as though it's happening, as though it's already happened, right? How would that person show up? So I think that's really the key. And then receive. When it happens, receive it. And in some cases, it won't work out exactly the way that you thought it was going to be. But when it's happening, acknowledge because that which you had asked for, when the pizza arrived, believe it's arriving, smell it, right? Like get excited and be excited about the process, right? I think sometimes we get so focused on creating the goal and the mechanics of it. People forget to enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey and then receive it and give thanks. And sometimes I'm giving away the tips, but that's my manifestation. Honestly, if you say what changed, I changed by asking, by believing, and by receiving. And I do this over and over again. And the more I do it, the more I'm understanding the key components. And if you miss the key ingredients, you're not going to have the desired pizza that you want.
It's like baking. There are some ingredients you just can't miss,
Right?
and they've got to be done a certain way.
Exactly. It's a lunch and learn. Let's bring on the food analogies and make people hungry.
Whenever you mention, I love your pizza analogy where you're like, okay, you've ordered the pizza, but have you set the table? And I was like, of course you'd think of candles with pizza, and
It's a bottle of wine.
at Kuntal's events, there will be candles or something gorgeous because that's just who you are. You have very high standards, right? Peak experience.
But Larissa, this is a lot. I keep giving you credit and you haven't asked me to do this, but I wasn't like this when I first met you. I think you always used to say, well, create the vision, find inspiration. When you start visualizing it of how you want things to be, you're going to create it, right? And another thing you always used to say, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if I am just hosting it for everybody else and not really enjoying that experience for me, what's the point of it? So in my everyday life, I light up the candles, I get the music going. I want to live into that reality, not just on a weekend when I host a retreat. I always want to surround myself with beauty all the time because we deserve it, right?
Absolutely. And we sometimes forget this. Like if we have fancy dishes, are we saving them for that special occasion or are we actually using them? Like what's the point of having beautiful things if you don't actually use it?
Don't just take it out on Thanksgiving and then put it away until Christmas. Yeah. Use it, right? Absolutely. It's there for you to use and enjoy as well, not just your guests. So
can you share a little, just maybe share some of you've had so many different stories of manifestation, but what are some of the highlights for you? What are some of your stories that most stand out to you, or your manifestation moments?
You know, there are a lot. And I was thinking about this before stepping on this call, and I literally wrote it down right before this call. So I'm going to go with that one. Okay. When you and I first started working together, it was February 2020. No, 29. No, yeah, 2020. Right before COVID, like literally right before COVID.
Yeah.
All I wanted was to host this Galentine's event, right? And all I wanted was to be able to say it's sold out, right? That's all I wanted to do at that moment because it was the first thing I was putting out. And I remember you giving me all these tips on how to do it, right? You're like, create a board, create an ad, and then have sold out all over it, right? Like, dream. What are people wearing? What are you eating? Like, really start feeling into it, right? And I created the event and it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. But in my mind, I had a different vision in terms of how many people were there. It was sold out. Those things didn't happen for that first event.
Yeah.
Fast forward 3 years later, earlier this year, I hosted a Galentine's event. It was sold out. It was beautiful. And it was finally what I had envisioned and what I had desired 3 years ago, but I wasn't ready for it, right? When it happened this February, I showed up and I was ready for it. And it was the Galentine's event of my dreams, right? And we were just coming out of COVID. I had 30 women at Chotomate. It's this Japanese Peruvian fusion restaurant. All these women we were all coming out of COVID and they all dressed up and we had photos and music. Everything was on point. And I literally had that moment. I'm like, I manifested this. But I've been chipping away at that dream, believing in it, creating a community, and doing the things and enjoying the journey, right? So that really sticks out as a manifestation moment and working on it, right? Put the order through, but then also do your part to fully experience what that it is that you desire, right? So that I would say is a manifestation story. There's a fun one that I've shared with you. I don't know if we have enough time for it, but I love travel. I love travel, and I was in Morocco, and when I travel, I like to take beautiful photos, and now I do photo shoots for myself. So I did I was like, okay, I had the tripod all set up, and I had this beautiful backdrop, and I had a gorgeous outfit on, and I was kind of creating my shoots and videos and stuff. And I tried, because I was in the sand, I tried to just kind of go into a split. And for the first time, I was able to, and it's probably assisted by the sand. But see, again, my brain's like, oh, it was good, but it was, not exactly.
You did it so well. It was
Stop, yeah. So I finally was able to get into a split. And I literally had a moment where I said, wait, this is exactly the image I have on my vision board. I had pinned this gorgeous, okay, granted, the backdrop was an ocean, but it was this beautiful backdrop, sunny skies, and this gorgeous woman in a red outfit in a split. But I wasn't, there's something, well, the backdrop was different and my outfit was different. But I said, wait, I have the outfit. I literally stopped the video. I ran into the tent. I put my red outfit on, and I created the video, the photo of something that was very similar to what was on my vision board. But there's times when I literally will stop. I will stop, and now I recognize that that's the image on the vision board, and here it's happening, and it's happening more and more.
Yeah.
And I'm always giving thanks for that.
I think one of the things, like, sometimes we create these expectations, and like you said, we don't necessarily give them enough time, and we aren't necessarily clear, or we're doing things we think we should manifest, like, let's manifest an income goal because we have to. That's heavy. And what you've really demonstrated time and time again is that's a byproduct, right?
100%.
All of those things are such a byproduct when you start connecting to those moments that juice you up, right? Sure, profit is nice. You wanted the sold out event. You wanted the full experience. You wanted the energy. You wanted the package, and you got it.
Yes.
You wanted that freedom of expression, that flexibility.
Yes.
And by doing that physically, right? You practice the splits. You did
Of
that.
course. Yes.
However, that translated to other areas of your life. Like you physically got more flexible, and emotionally you got more flexible.
So
You got
much.
more adaptable in your business. You started translating these skills into other things. And I think that's one of the things that we sometimes miss. We fixate on what we think we should do instead of what spirit is telling us to do or what we really want. And there's no shame in really going for what you want and what you connect to, because when you do, all of the other pieces, they fall into place. And you can't manifest from force. You have to really manifest from this desire and this lighthearted, playful nature, and just like, yeah, this is what I want. Others might get it, others might not. However, this is about me.
Yes. It's your pizza.
It's your pizza.
You get to design it the way you want. You get to enjoy it the way you want. You can look forward to it as well in the journey, right?
Yeah.
But you said it. I think you're right. And I think you had mentioned this at the brunch we were at, is that the difference between goals and intentions is that now I set intentions, right? And I set intentions for how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Right? It's the feeling you are after, right? It's not the $1 million. It's who you become in earning the $1 million, right? You literally, what got you here won't get you there.
Yep.
So if that's what you're striving for, you have to become another version of you, and the journey, appreciate it, as opposed to beating yourself up like it's like that $1 million is a destination. It's not. It's the journey that you want to enjoy. Sure, when you get there, it will be great, but enjoy all of it.
And it really is about who you become along the way. So what would you say are your top 3 key manifestation tips and tricks?
Okay, I feel like I've given some in conversation about
if you were to summarize them, if you were to say,
if I
okay,
was to summarize,
this is the essence of what you need.
The essence, yes. The essence will be, first and foremost, take time to think. Okay? Think about what you want. You have to get really clear on what you want. If it's a relationship that you're striving for, write down what exactly you want, as much as, and be as outrageous as you want. Nobody, like you are allowed to. You are allowed to have an outrageous life. So write out. So take time to think, write it out with great clarity.
You manifested one of those too, as well, along the way.
I did, yes. But that's a different story for a different day. But so write down what you want and then believe it, right? Believe it. Imagine what it's going to feel like when you actually get it and start living into that reality. What does that version of you look like? How does she act? Again, coming back to your self-image boot camp, I took a lot away from that self-image boot camp. How does she dress? How does she show up? Who is she interacting with, right? You have to get really clear on those things. So clarity is really important. Yeah. I also love vision boarding, right? So my second tip will be to create vision boards. Nowadays, you can create digital vision boards. I will tell you, my life started changing as soon as I created a vision board. And I ended up at that retreat because of the vision board. Okay, so I started with the retreat, but prior to that, prior to going into that retreat, I had created a vision board for myself. And so since then, I've created another one. And those are the times when I sit and I think, oh, it's happening, right? So second tip would be to create vision boards. And the third tip that I do, again, to incorporate the feeling and expressing gratitude, I do a little exercise of writing letters to myself from my past self to my future self when I need wisdom, when I need guidance. I ask the higher self for advice. And if I'm sitting in a meditation, whatever ideas pop up, instead of judging myself for the mind wandering, I now think that's guidance coming to me. So it's usually related to questions I have, and I will have ideas and then I will immediately act on them. That's your intuition channeling, right? So I write letters from my future self to my past self saying, you were amazing. You pulled it through. Wow, what an event. Everybody loved it. And look at the testimonials you got. Well done, right? And I really get into that feeling as though my future self is giving me a standing ovation. And I also write from my past self to future self. So anyway, those are my three.
Time travel. You time
Yeah,
travel.
absolutely. Yeah. In fact, I don't know if I may even have. But yeah, those are my three tips
So
that I would
clarity, 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 clarity,
get
clarity.
clear, write it out, write a list, very detailed
Good.
as possible. Yeah.
And so writing causes thinking, and thinking causes feelings. However, when you're writing, you're creating pictures with your vision boards. Tip two, that
Mhm.
is actually seeing the picture, because when it's
Yes.
right there in front of you,
Mhm.
most of us, we need to see things in front of us, out of sight, out of mind. If you like write it down and stick it in a shelf, what good is that? You want to
Yeah.
keep reviewing. You write to clarify, you vision board it to see it, so you keep it top of mind. And then the third tip is like time travel, right? Play with
Yes.
your future self, play with
Yes.
your current self, and start exploring and experiencing the feelings in different points in time. So I love
Mhm.
that. Those are super, super helpful. I think if we all did that more of the time, I honestly think the world would be a better place. And one of the things I've really noticed, and tell me if you've experienced this in your world as well, but I feel like since the pandemic has ended, right? We met each other
Yeah.
pre-pandemic, and then pandemic happened and the world
Yeah.
seemed to slow down, right? Some
Mhm.
people thrived, others struggled. However, everyone had more opportunity to hit the pause button and actually start recognizing like what is important to me. You knew if people were important to you. You knew if quiet time was important to you. You had the opportunity to actually pay attention. And
Mhm.
it's almost like, I know for myself, this summer we had 2 months that were busier than the previous 2 years.
Yes.
September to October, like last Sunday, we finished the second wedding, and Saturday we finished the eighth birthday party of a 1 month period. So right after summer, we stepped into that, and it's just been go, 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 go.
Yes.
And I also have noticed that so many people are, it's almost in this like, it's a little bit manic with
It
the
is.
events, the extra stuff that's been piled on. And
Yes.
so many people have gone back to this really, really quick pace of life. However, they're not the same people, and they may not have the tools to necessarily cope with it or recognize it or deal with it well. Is that something you've noticed in your world? It's like everyone's rushing, rushing, rushing and not taking that time for themselves.
100%. It's the busyness, right? When first COVID happened, everybody was so grateful to have this time to connect with their loved ones, and it was forced confinement. But a lot of us actually found it a blessing in disguise because those of us who struggle with saying no, for them, it was like, this is amazing. I don't have to say no to any parties. Yes, and not feel guilty for just saying, I just feel like being home today, right?
Yeah.
So 100%, I feel, and then the more we commit, we don't even leave open space to have time to think about what it is that you want, right? It's a catch 22. And then you keep spiraling into this robotic life, wake up, work, weekends, parties, and then show up Monday exhausted. But I'm definitely finding it's extremely busy now, right? And people are trying to finally travel. People who hadn't been traveling are now really just getting out there traveling and juggling all these things. So
And that's not helping the manifestation power, is it?
no,
No.
no, it's
So
not.
I think this is a really important thing, right? Kuntal was saying you have to take the time. You have to take the time to hit that pause button, to maybe even get out of your own environment, to get out of your own way, to just change something up, to shake something up so you can have those new experiences, not by doing more, but literally by calming down so you can.
Slowing down.
Yeah.
right? Just slow down. I take my dog for a walk, and every day there's this sign, and I look at it, and it's always a reminder. It says, slow down, right? We don't slow down. It's so important to get quiet so the answers can come from within.
I just got this visual of a slingshot, right? You got to slowly pull the slingshot back before it goes. And
Yes.
when you take the time to pull it back just
Mhm.
enough, that's like slow down, let me sit back and think. All of a sudden, you can
Yes.
accelerate and move forward and really, really leverage yourself in
Yes.
ways you didn't know. But it's because you took the time to pull back that you can actually spring forward and leap forward. And
Yes.
you can't underestimate the power of just chilling,
Yeah.
chilling, chilling, chilling.
I've heard this quote. It says, slow down to speed up,
Yeah.
right? It's counterintuitive, but I think it's important to take that time to slow down so you can speed up.
So one of the things you mentioned at the beginning is the retreat experiences, right? You do so a couple of things that I know you've done is you've had these beautiful brunches where women can get together and you don't rush in and out and eat your food in 5 minutes. You take a few hours to leisurely dine and talk to people and have meaningful, truly meaningful conversations. You've hosted certain events, you've hosted vision boarding events and other types of curated experiences. You're going to be hosting one of our events. We're going to have you help us.
I would love to.
Academy. I think that would be
Absolutely.
epic. And you've also you have retreats that you do. So I
Mhm.
know you've got one coming up, and these are things that you will have on your schedule on a regular basis.
That's
So
right.
can you tell us a little bit about what makes your retreats so different, right?
Mhm.
What's the why should I go to Kuntal's retreat other than I know you're amazing, and it's just going to be awesome. I think everyone should go, but tell us like why it's actually different than just going to a regular retreat. What's
Yes.
special or what makes it so juicy for people?
What makes it so juicy is I a lot of what I do and I create, for me, each retreat, each experience, anything that I create and I offer to the world is like a blank canvas. And I apply a lot of what I'm talking about, creating beauty and, space, all of that. So each retreat is like a blank canvas that I start with an outline and then I pencil it in with beautiful details, right? But at the crux of it is, are we connecting? Are we connecting with each other? Are we growing, learning, healing in some way, shape, or form? So a lot of my retreats are inspired from my own personal travels. And like I said, when people don't have the finances or the time or whatever situations to go seek out those experiences outside of Canada,
Mhm.
I want to bring it here. And I want to use whatever we have to create that magic here, not too far from Toronto, right? So the reason why my retreats are unique is I not only teach yoga at my retreats. Let's say if you come to my weekend retreat, a longer retreat, you're
Mhm.
not just coming for the yoga. You're coming for the food. You're coming for the conversations. You're coming to embody the philosophy of yoga, right? So I spend a lot of time to curate the itinerary that will facilitate connection with your own self, movement, connection with each other, and connection with nature. So the locations that I pick will always have an element of water. So the two times that I've done retreats, it's right on water's edge. You can walk down to the water. There will be an element of fire, right? And a lot, I infuse spirituality, but in a way that I am comfortable with. And so if you're the type of person that's not into the woo-woo stuff, that's also me, right? So I don't try to do something that I don't personally feel comfortable with. But I think with all of these, like for example, at one of my retreats that's coming up, we're going to do a cacao ceremony, right? Now, this cacao ceremony was something that I experienced myself, and I'm new to it, but I will teach it in a way that is comfortable for me, and I think for a lot of my guests who are new to this as well, right? There's elements of such great wisdom that we can take away from these things. So, all is to say, I infuse the yogic philosophies, the spirituality aspect, the beauty, the experience of food and all of that, right? So that's why I think my retreats are unique. I this is my mission, right? I want to tell anybody listening to this, and if you're curious about my retreats, I want to say, give me a weekend of your life, and I will give you a new version of yourself, right?
Love it.
And I really try to do my best to have guests leaving like they left better than they arrived.
Mm-hmm. And yoga is not exercise. Yoga goes beyond yoga pants on the moves. It's a way of living. And I think when I really started to understand that it's a lifestyle, it's a way of thinking, it's a way of looking at the world. It is a spirituality.
Yes.
It goes so much further beyond just
Hmm.
the pigeon pose and
The
the
physical, yeah, asanas is only one part of
yeah.
yoga, and I feel, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think there's a time and place for the asanas, for the yoga
Mm-hmm.
in a yoga studio or 60 minutes on the mat. But the true transformation really happens beyond the mat when you start living the principles of yoga, when you embody the philosophy, that's when you really transform. And a retreat gives us time, right? We're not rushing off the to go to our to-do lists after a yoga class. We're taking the time to sometimes have those meaningful discussions and dialogues and time to reflect, right?
Yeah.
That's why retreats are so powerful, and the way I curate them, there's attention to that. I don't want you to just think there's yoga in the morning, there's yoga in the afternoon, and in the evening, and then I have the afternoon to do whatever I want, right?
Yeah.
There's guided itinerary to incorporate a lot of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful because I mean, ultimately, the physical aspect of yoga prepares the mind to receive. And when
Yes.
you can physically open your channels, you can open your spiritual, your emotional, your manifestation channels, like the powers to connect to higher self or a higher purpose or God or those little parts of you that are chitter chattering away, but it's noise, and it quiets the noise so you can actually filter and really find the best of yourself. So I love that you gift people that opportunity. Now, where can people find you?
Okay.
Where can they find you? Where's the best place to?
Best place. I am on Instagram.
Yeah.
My handle is a.curated.life.by.inara. A curated life by Inara. Each word is separated by a dot. And I also want to mention that I do have the retreat. There's a retreat coming up in just a couple of weeks, and I have 2 spots available, and it's going to be absolutely magical. It's in Muskoka. Get to experience fall colors. You get to experience private chef prepared meals, all inclusive. There's yoga practices. There's Thai massage that's going to be available. Hike through the park. I tell you, this is I would say it's going to be one of my signature retreats. I did a fall retreat last year, and this is another one. So I'm taking elements of what we did last year and then adding more. Super excited. So if anybody's looking for a fallcation, last minute, please either reach me through Larissa or look me up on Instagram, and I would love to host you.
I'm looking. Oh, there it is. I'm going to see if I could pop this in the chat from here. Okay. Some of our channels will receive this message and others
Thank you for sharing.
not. So if you didn't see it on the thread, then we'll make sure to put it in the description so people can access you. So we'll make sure to put all of your contact info in along with this video. And I guess anything else that you'd like to leave our viewers with before we wrap?
I would. In conclusion, again, I want to thank you for having me, but I also want to share this with your community, or if anybody out there is watching this and is on the fence whether to do your program or to work with you. I have to say that's a decision I made 3 years ago, to invest in myself, to double down on me. And if you're on the fence, you deserve to double down on you, right? Invest in you, invest in your growth, because the rewards that will come your way will be more than just achieving your goals. You will become a whole new person. TIR. It's an amazing program. And I do believe that even though at the time it felt like I wasn't learning as much as I needed to or I should, looking back, a lot of those readings we would read over and over are playing back now, right? Be prepared to do things that most people don't want to do, right? So all this to say, invest in yourself, right? If you are seeking a transformation, start with yourself, invest in yourself, dream, work hard, make it happen. So that'd be my last.
I love it. I love it. And that really is true, because your priorities don't show up in what you say. They show up in your calendar by what you're doing, and in your
So
bank account by what you're investing in. And if you claim that you are a priority in your own life, are you putting yourself on your calendar? Do you have dates with yourself? Do you have quiet time to invest in yourself? And are you actually monetarily investing in yourself? It's absolutely huge. And so what I would love to invite you to, viewers that are watching, is one of our upcoming vision expansion workshops. This is something we didn't have when Kuntal started with us, but I know that, I don't know, have you been to this one yet?
no. When
Okay, you've got to come, because this is it is a phenomenal process that I wish we had when I first started. But
Mhm.
this is a process where you can learn to really, truly create a limitless vision that propels you to your most rich and fulfilling life. And
Okay.
if you are ready for your next level of success, I want you to raise your hand and join me. It's a phenomenal experience. It's absolutely free for now. And we will make sure to drop a registration link in the description with this video, or you can just go to any of the links in our bio and you can get access to the Vision Expansion Workshop. So this really is going to go beyond just what do you want. It's going to go beyond doing a vision board without guidance. This is going to go really, it's going to lay the foundation brick by brick, not for the straw house, not for the what's after the straw with the three little pigs. Straw house, you've got the wooden house. This is like the brick house. We're going to lay the foundation for your brick house so that you can absolutely soar. So let us know. We've got several dates between now and the end of the year, and we will have more into the new year. And this is an absolutely joyful experience that you don't want to miss. It's something you want to do every 3 to 6 months so that you can propel yourself forward and start manifesting like a queen, right? Kuntal has become a manifestation queen because she dreams something and she's like, I think I'm going to do it. I think I'm going to have it. And you don't know when it's going to come. However, when you make a decision, just like Kuntal did, that committed decision, it always happens at the perfect time.
Mhm.
Your job is to place the correct order with the universe, right?
Yes.
If you don't like what you're putting on your pizza, then don't order it. So your
Yeah.
job is to learn to put the correct things on your pizza of life, the beautiful flavors that blend together and will give you exactly what you want. And when that happens, you get that feeling inside.
Mhm.
And you know you'll get it. You ask, you believe, you receive. So Kuntal, thank you so much for being here. I wish I could hug you. I'm giving you
Virtual hug.
and I know we'll have you back here again because people absolutely love hearing from you. And
Thank you.
your retreats, like I say, everything you do is just top quality and absolutely magnificent. So if you want to grab one of the last couple of spots in Kuntal's retreat, make sure to do that now because they don't last long. And like she said, I want my events to sell out. And since they started, they have been selling out. All your stuff starts to sell out, which is absolutely wonderful. So you guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you again